Stack Overflow was once an essential tool for programmers around the globe. If a developer hit an error, they Googled it, clicked Stack Overflow, and prayed someone had already solved it. For years, that system made Stack Overflow one of the most important websites in software. But the same rules that made it useful also made it hated. Duplicate closures, downvotes, and harsh moderation turned a useful forum into a place where many users were afraid to participate. Then, generative AI put the final nail in the coffin. So how did Stack Overflow go from being a critical developer resource to a company fighting to stay relevant? And can its AI pivot save it, or will it only alienate the people who built the site in the first place? Let's get right into it. Stack Overflow was founded in 2008 by programmers Jeff Atwood and Joel Spolsky. They had both experienced a common problem. Programming knowledge was spread around the internet in hard-to-find places. Answers to common bugs were lost in forums, buried in online manuals, or hidden in obscure textbooks. This made solving daily errors a nightmare for software engineers. But luckily, Atwood and Spolsky had an idea. They developed Stack Overflow, a website with the goal of becoming the hub of programming questions and answers. Atwood pitched the website as a free, open alternative to cluttered forums and paywalled sites. Atwood and Spolsky both ran popular programming blogs, and once they finished building Stack Overflow, they promoted the website to their readers. Soon, the site exploded. Programmers began asking questions, and once they saw that users actually responded, Stack Overflow grew exponentially through recommendations and strong search engine results. As users grew, Stack Overflow focused on combining one-off questions into a massive database for as many programming questions as possible. That way, other users could search for their problems and find the answers anytime without waiting for someone else to answer. Under each question, users could vote the best answers up and the worst answers down, so the most useful solution usually rose to the top. This gamification motivated people to keep coming back and answering more questions. Repeat questions were also combined and archived so the forum wasn't flooded with duplicates. Throughout the early 2010s, Stack Overflow exploded. Their near monopoly in programming Q&A came from a compounding network effect that most forums never achieved. Stack Overflow's users were building the most comprehensive programming Q&A database for free. Then Google amplified the whole system. As more high-quality pages accumulated, Stack Overflow climbed the search results, which attracted even more users. By 2016, Wired reported that 40 million developers visited Stack Overflow each month. In an effort to further monetize their users, the company launched Stack Overflow Careers in 2009. They charged small opt-in listing fees to developers seeking jobs and substantial fees to employers recruiting them. By 2016, the company publicly described its revenue mix as primarily display ads and talent, arguing that both monetized their user base without filling the site with spammy or low-quality advertising. But soon, this golden age of Stack Overflow would come crashing down. One of Stack Overflow's most controversial features is its handling of duplicate questions. If a moderator sees that you've asked a question that's already been answered somewhere else on the site, they'll shut down your thread and tell you to look there. On the surface, this seems like a smart feature. It prevents Stack Overflow from being flooded with repeat questions, and it makes it easier for other developers to find the answers they're looking for. But many users think it went too far. A 2019 study found that roughly 53% of closed Stack Overflow posts were closed due to duplication. For new users just trying to get help, getting a near-instant rejection from the site felt extremely discouraging. And when they went to click on the link provided by the mods, much of the time the answer provided was either out of date or completely incorrect. Closing duplicate questions made the site much easier to navigate, but made users feel alienated and unwelcome. Not only that, but the site's voting feature could be turned against new users with less experience asking basic questions. High reputation users could quickly downvote or close weak questions, and while that protected quality, it also made the site feel brutal to newcomers. That made new users less likely to participate at all. After all, who would want to post a question when you know that you'll either get linked to an irrelevant answer or insulted by snarky moderators? In 2018, Joel Spolsky acknowledged that Stack Overflow's voting system had driven large amounts of good behavior, but that downvotes had made many people unhappy and unwelcome. This led to less participation overall. Stack Overflow developed a reputation as an unfriendly, elitist website with moderators who looked down upon certain questions. There are countless stories from developers who felt that their genuine questions were mocked, downvoted, or closed before anyone could help them. Many people began searching for other communities, and other services like Reddit, Discord, and YouTube proved to be more helpful and far less judgmental. It's easy to see this in the data. Stack Overflow's question and answer counts both peaked in 2014, with a gradual decline after that. But Stack Overflow's cultural problem was also becoming a business problem. The public Q&A site created enormous value, but it was difficult to monetize this directly. So the company had to find ways to make money around the community without damaging the community itself. During the late 2010s, senior leadership focused on transforming Stack Overflow from an advertising and recruiting business into a SaaS company. Joel announced Stack Overflow for Teams in May 2018 and described it as the biggest upgrade to Stack Overflow ever. When Stack Overflow got a new CEO in 2019, the company increasingly framed itself as a product-led SaaS business. Despite user frustrations and an uncertain business model, Stack Overflow raised $40 million from investors in 2015 and a further $85 million in 2020. Then came the pandemic. Remote work skyrocketed and the tech sector was booming. This led to more programmers being hired, and these new coders needed Stack Overflow's help more than ever. Q&A count jumped noticeably in late 2020 and early 2021. Then, in mid-2021, the Dutch investment firm Prosus acquired Stack Overflow for $1.8 billion. But after the pandemic boost cooled, Stack Overflow continued to look for a viable pivot as its core business declined. By 2022, they had already shut down their jobs board and shifted further towards enterprise tools. Then, just months later, ChatGPT arrived. In late 2022, ChatGPT was launched and quickly exploded around the globe. One of the first public use cases for generative AI was coding. Developers quickly realized that ChatGPT could do something Stack Overflow never could. It responded to their exact error, in their exact context, without making them ask publicly. AI didn't always work perfectly, but for some quick boilerplate code or a small bug fix, it was very helpful. Before AI, the Stack Overflow workflow was painful but necessary. You copied an error message, searched Google, opened 5 tabs, read through old answers, and checked the comments to see if the accepted answer worked for your project. With ChatGPT, you could paste your exact error, explain your setup, ask follow-up questions, and get an answer tailored to your code. Even if AI didn't always get the answer 100% correct, it was an undeniably better experience than getting publicly shamed on Stack Overflow. Almost immediately, Stack Overflow started feeling the pressure. A 2024 study found that ChatGPT caused a 25% drop in Stack Overflow activity within 6 months of launch. The contribution side deteriorated even faster than traffic. DevClass reported that Stack Overflow question volume experienced a 78% year-over-year decline. It was clear, people would much rather get help from AI than go through the painful process of asking a question on Stack Overflow. Developer behavior shifted because AI tools solved programming errors in a faster and more pleasant way than Stack Overflow ever could. Stack Overflow's own survey data documented the change. In 2025, 84% of respondents said that they used or plan to use AI tools, and 51% of professional developers said they use them daily. At first, Stack Overflow tried to fight back against AI. In late 2022, leadership imposed a site-wide ban on AI-generated code, claiming that it was often too inaccurate and would overrun the site. However, Stack Overflow failed to give its moderators the proper power to enforce this ban, and AI-generated code slowly began to take over every forum. In June 2023, the moderators went on strike. They claimed that Stack Overflow was not letting them moderate the site effectively, despite the company's ban on AI-generated code. Although the strike ended in August, it showed that the relationship between moderators and Stack Overflow had become deeply strained. Then, Stack Overflow made an announcement that shocked everyone. They announced a formal partnership with OpenAI, focused on selling their Q&A data to train ChatGPT on programming questions. This made sense from a business perspective. AI companies were searching everywhere for high-quality, human-generated content for training, and Stack Overflow had spent almost 15 years gathering a massive database of coding questions. But developers saw this as a huge contradiction. Users and moderators had spent years writing answers, editing posts, and cleaning up the site. Now the company was monetizing that free labor by selling access to AI companies. They also launched Overflow AI and planned to integrate it across their main website and enterprise tools. This was a complete 180 from the AI content ban that users remembered from the previous year. Nowadays, Stack Overflow usage continues to trend down, and it looks like the company has been outcompeted by AI. Companies like OpenAI are using Stack Overflow as a data goldmine to train their models. This creates a brutal loop. Developers use AI instead of asking new questions. Fewer questions means fewer new answers. Fewer new answers makes Stack Overflow less useful. And if Stack Overflow becomes less useful, the human data that AI companies wanted in the first place starts drying up. Once Stack Overflow has been drained of its data, it's easy to imagine both AI labs and its former users leaving the company to die. But Stack Overflow isn't the only company being crushed by AI. ChatGPT just caused the company's stock to fall by 50% in a single day. Now, a multi-billion-dollar business is on the brink of collapse. So if you want to learn how ChatGPT killed Chegg, click the video on screen.